For me, I spent the first few years trying everything because there is this phrase about leaving money on the table, isn't there? Which I don't actually think as a single person business is actually a very good phrase to listen to, because you're always going to not do everything, right? There's no way with the number of hours we have in a week we can do everything. I tried lots of things and wasn't getting anywhere, and I decided to just focus on one.
Welcome to Wish I'd Known Then podcast. I'm Sarah Rosette.
And I'm Jamie Albright. And this week on the show we have
Luke Richardson.
We do. It was so fun.
Yes.
I guess it would be because he writes action adventure.
Yes.
Those are so fun. Yeah.
Yes. He's action adventure, lots of travel in his books. So we talked about that a lot. It was a lot of good details on writing sensory details into your story.
Yeah.
And how to write about places maybe you've never been, and learning how much to incorporate and how much not to incorporate of your travels. So it was really good. And we talked a lot about business, the business of writing.
That was great.
Is coming up. And we should mention real quickly that the sponsor for this podcast is BookFunnel, and we will talk about them more in a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So what's been going on with you?
I am still working on the revisions. They're going okay. This is what happens when your book has 42 chapters. I'm writing longer books now than I used to. And this
that's
is
how many mine have. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the one, it's a trilogy, which I've not really ever done. I had planned trilogies and I had extended the series, but this is a 3-book series and it's done. So this is the 3rd book and I'm wrapping everything up. So there's a lot of details to wrap up. So yeah, I'm doing that. And the only exciting thing that's going on in my life right now, have you seen the post about when you get near retirement, you're sorted into one of 4 houses, like birding or photography or stuff like that? And I think there's one that wasn't listed. Ours is kitchen appliances. We've gotten into these small appliances. We bought a rice cooker.
Like gadgets.
Yeah, we love it. It is so good. The rice is so fluffy. And what else? And I ordered we have a KitchenAid mixer, and I ordered this attachment that lets you shred cheese through your mixer. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to use it.
Calm down out there. Calm down.
I know. I opened the box and I was like, oh, look at all these attachments. And then I thought, oh my goodness, we're getting so old that I'm so excited about this. Maybe, I'm sure a cook would be excited about that. But anyway, so not necessarily, it doesn't mean you're old, but I feel like that we're getting into these things that I just didn't have time for before.
Yeah.
So,
or the money for it. When
that's true too.
You don't really have the extra money to go buy extra gadgets. I had a friend in Austin, my friend Jennifer, and they had one child, and so that put us in different socioeconomic categories. But they also own their own business and everything. But she was the gadget queen. I loved going to her house, and I would just use every gadget in her kitchen because it was so fun. It wasn't just her kitchen; she had gadgets everywhere. But yeah, I was like,
awesome.
This is the life.
That's awesome. That's so funny. That's my goal now, to be the gadget queen. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, what about you? What's going on?
Oh, y'all, let me just tell you. I've been so unproductive the last 2 weeks. I just cannot even tell you how unproductive I've been.
And this is related to the dog, right?
It's related to it's several things. First of all, it's my ADHD for sure, like executive function stuff. And part of it's the dog because I'm like, oh, the dog, I can't, I don't feel like I can leave, even though I can. I know I can now. But when I'm gone, I'm nervous because I don't want him to do something. And then on top of that, I have a wedding coming up in a week and a half. And then the next week we're going on vacation. So in my ADHD brain, I can't, it's like those things are there. It's when I have a doctor's appointment at 3:00, I get ready and sit on the couch with my purse because I can't do anything else.
Because we have plans, right?
Yes. It's that thing only magnified. Action creates momentum, not the other way around. And so I've got a plan to do one thing today, and I'm going to do it. And then hopefully other things will follow. I did do something this morning. I am going to redo the brand workshop that I did last year. It was really successful and people really liked it. And I've had people ask about it. And so I'm going to redo it. It will be on September 27th. There's a $10 discount for our podcast listeners. And that's at 10. That's the coupon Jamie 10, and it's all caps Jamie 10. So that's going on. And I did want to tell y'all. So I think I told you about the TikTok. I paid the TikTok influencer for it.
Right.
She did 2 videos. Y'all, I tripled my money on that.
Wow.
It was a lot of money for me. It was a lot of money, and I tripled my money on that. And I know I did because I knew I had consistently been selling so many books per day. When that happened, it jumped, and it just now has gone back. Well, this past week, gone back to what I was selling before. But I then paid a different TikToker, not as big as the first one, and not as big by quite a bit. The first one had 100,000 followers ish, and then this one has 16,000 or something like that. And I have not seen, and she did a fabulous review, so good, and it made me want to read the book. And so,
very persuasive,
very persuasive, but it did not do as well as the first one. So it was like a little less than half of what I spent the first time. But I have not seen the immediate return. Now, it is putting it out there, and I can use that ad I can use that video in an ad, but it just hasn't produced. So I do think there is something to having a larger following, but then also you could take that money and spread it out across these smaller creators, and then your book is out there more because
there's more videos about it.
Yeah, because more videos are coming out, and especially if you could get them all right together, that would be really great. But I just wanted people to know that, and I think I'm going to pay another very big influencer, but it's more than the first one. And I'm having a hard time pulling the trigger on that one. But I feel like it would work, but do I just want that one shot, or do I want to take that money and spread it out? So I'm still making that decision. If anybody has any thoughts, you can let me know. Yeah, and I have not put the book in KU yet. I am working on getting newsletter swaps and everything set up for that, but that'll probably happen in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, because now the sales have come down because I'm telling you, it was great. It was really great. Yeah. And it lasted. The rank was amazing for couple of weeks. And so it's almost like a launch.
Yeah. So if you can find the right influencer, the right person, then it can make a big difference. That's great. I'm glad to hear it.
Just to give information.
Yeah.
And on TikTok and Instagram, I'm doing a little series, Let's Talk Book Publishing. If you want to follow me there, you can do that.
And we also now have an Instagram account for the podcast, only 5 years late.
Yeah. It only has one video right now, WIKT pod. So it's the initials pod.
I'll put a link to that in the show notes too.
Yeah. Or I Wish I'd Known Them. Podcast. Yeah.
All right. We should talk a little bit about BookFunnel. They're the sponsor for this podcast, and they handle book delivery for authors. Whether you're sending a free reader magnet or running a giveaway, you can join a group promo with them. You can send out ARCs with them to your review team. They make sure that the right file gets to the reader on whatever device they're using, which is such a valuable service because then we don't have to try and figure that out and troubleshoot things.
You can distribute your audiobooks through them. You can distribute your ebooks, and then they have their own app.
Yeah, my readers really like their app. They've used it. I had several when it was first starting out. I was a beta tester for the app, the audiobook app, and I had readers check it out. I was like, "Tell me what you think," and they really liked it. They said it was easy to use, so it's a great thing to check out, and you can find them at bookfunnel.com.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Should we get on with the podcast?
Let's do it.
All right. Here is Luke. Today, we're excited to talk with Luke Richardson. Hi, Luke. How are you?
Hi, I'm well, thank you. And thank you for having me here. It's wonderful to meet you both.
Well, it's great to meet you, and we're so happy you're here. We'll let Sarah read your bio, and then we'll get started.
Luke Richardson is the author of international thrillers that blend history, mystery, and adventure in exotic locations. A former English teacher and traveler, he brings his real-life adventures to the page and to podcast, sharing his insights on storytelling and creativity in far-off places.
Very good. I'm sort of jealous about the English teacher thing because I struggle with grammar, as our audience knows.
Do you know what? I don't think it was a benefit.
Really?
I think it wasn't, because firstly, you always see the errors. And secondly, you're so used to reading the great works, the Steinbecks and the Dickens and whatever, that when you sit down to write and nothing like that comes to the page, you instantly find it really frustrating that isn't the case.
I can see that. Okay, I can see that. Tell us how you got into writing.
Sure. For me, it was the travel that came first. I've always been a creative person, but I hadn't applied that to writing until later stages, really. But I've always loved traveling. And I remember this one trip in India where I was just enthralled. The first time I was in Asia, I was just enthralled by the sense of it, the place of it, the excitement and the colors and the noise and the chaos and all these things. And I just thought, I want to recreate this in some way. And that's for me, I say that as the moment that I decided I want to recreate this. How can I do it? And then I was an English teacher at the time, as you mentioned, and I was getting into reading a lot and reading different things. And I thought, hold on a minute, I could actually do this. And then it took a while, to be fair. This was many years later, maybe 7, 8 years later, that I actually sat down and started seriously to write that first book. But it was always with that idea in mind, that I want to take the readers somewhere. I want to give them an adventure, give them a new experience.
Oh, I love that. I can imagine it's sensory overload in India in particular, just the number of people, the aromas, the beauty of it all.
It really was. Yeah. I've been back many times since and been to many other places, and still that first sort of getting off the airplane moment through the airport, and you're just like, I'm here, immersed in it. And I get very excited about that, as you can tell.
That. Yeah, I think there's something about being in a new place that you may live in where you're every day, you become accustomed to that. And when you go somewhere new, I think when you travel, all the senses get activated that maybe you don't use during your daily life. And I think that's a good jumping off point for a story. I always feel like if I travel somewhere, I was like, oh, I always want to write about this. I must write about this place. Yeah.
But it also makes you realize, it makes you see the place that you live when you return there in a different way as well. I don't know if you've realized this. We were talking about going to the store before we hit record, but when you go to somewhere in a different country and you realize how different, all the fruit looks different, all the vegetables look different. Perhaps instead of buying everything in a supermarket, you have to go to different market stalls and negotiate with each different person the things that are going on. Whereas in England, certainly, we go to the supermarket and that's that. But it's just those differences you see when you return as much as when you go away.
Yeah. Well, we'll come back to this because we are going to talk about your adventure thrillers. But we always like to ask everybody, what is your definition of success?
It's a really good question, isn't it? And I think it's one that everyone could do with. It's really beneficial for anyone to think about that, isn't it? Because what is one person's definition isn't someone else's. For me, as you'll have realized, it's traveling. I love to travel often. I love to write from wherever I am. My wife and I have just done a month in our camper van around France. Even though it's so close, I haven't traveled there that often. So we put that to right last month. And in the morning, I'd sit in a camping chair for a few hours with my laptop, getting some words written. In the afternoon, then we'd go and walk up a hill or go to a castle or whatever, go to a vineyard, those sorts of things. And that sort of wonderful ability we have to work on the road and to blend our work and our life together, for me, is that sort of definition of success.
That sounds lovely.
It was, yeah.
So do you find you're more productive when you're doing on the road like that, or are you like...
No. Yeah. Certainly less productive. Yeah. But actually, I don't always think that's a bad thing, because I'm sure you are the same, in that some days you get to the evening and you realize you've been at your computer for many hours. If you had a boss, they probably would have said, take a break now, or you'd have had a lunch break or something like this, wouldn't you?
Exactly. So, what do you wish you'd known about writing and craft when you started?
Now, I thought about this question, and it goes against what I've said about the travel thing, because in my first book, I had this vision that I wanted to do just what I've described and take the person to this place. And so I described everything in real detail, the market and the colors and the smells and the conversation and all of this. And I read through this in the editing stage, and not very much happened.
It was definitely a travel log, right?
Yeah. And that's cool. That's fine if that's what you wanted to write. But I set out to write a thriller, and this definitely wasn't.
A fast-paced thriller.
So I rewrote that scene. It's set in a market in Kathmandu, and I rewrote that scene so that instead of just describing the market, there's a chase through the market when the bad guy goes skidding through a stall full of tomatoes, and they go all over the place, and then he crashes into an incense stand and something. So to pin that down into action for me is the thing. And I suppose the learning from that, the message in that is that whilst setting is wonderful and whilst everything like that is great, the story needs to be compelling.
Yeah, I think a lot of new authors do. That's a mistake a lot of us make, for sure.
And sometimes just a phrase or two is enough to capture, and your reader will get the image. You don't have to give paragraphs, which we like to do because we want to make sure they understand where they are. What about marketing? What do you wish you'd known about that?
And that's the one authors can find difficult, isn't it? Because it sometimes doesn't come naturally to us.
Yeah.
For me, I spent the first few years trying everything because there is this phrase about leaving money on the table, isn't there? Which I don't actually think as a single person business is actually a very good phrase to listen to, because you're always going to not do everything, right? There's no way with the number of hours we have in a week we can do everything. I tried lots of things and wasn't getting anywhere, and I decided to just focus on one. And that was about 3 years ago, and since then I've just done Facebook ads, and that's been great because I know the system now, and I can stay on top of the changes that they put out frustratingly frequently and keep things going there. So for me, my advice in that respect is to just pick one thing and try it for a period of time, maybe not forever, maybe that won't work, but at least just do that one. Don't spread yourself too thin and try everything.
Yeah.
So wise.
I think we all do that. Yeah, that's probably something we all really do because, you don't want to leave money on the table. And if you see someone doing well, and the way they describe it, it always sounds easier than it is. And or it fits their particular skill level or personality better than yours.
Yeah. And I think it's almost also worth noting that you don't have to be an expert marketer, right? You're an expert writer. That's your thing. So you can be, the marketing can be good enough. So you don't need to look at compare yourself to one of these people who are marketing bros who've done this for millions of dollars worth of whatever, and say their cost per click is this, their conversion rate is that, and mine is not. But actually, you're getting people to read that book. You're getting people to your mailing list. You're getting people into your sort of world. And it hopefully is breaking even, and that sometimes is enough.
Also, our profit margin is not like the.
Yeah, right.
like the bros.
Yeah.
10x. Yeah.
What are you glad you know now?
I think it's the business side, actually, of the writing, and the idea that you are running a business and the two sides are different. The personal money, the business isn't the same as you. You've got to have some sort of delineation between the two, because you can't be thinking, oh, I'm spending this amount of money on an editor or a cover or my Facebook ads or whatever. And you're thinking, that would be a really nice new whatever, because that's not the same, is it? It's not the same as the profit that you get at the end, having spent that amount of money. And that takes some getting used to, for sure.
And having the discipline to put what profit you have back into your business that's hard sometimes.
And I think there are a lot of authors too that say ads are going well, and you've been spending $20 a day or whatever, and you up it, and it still goes well. And there's a kind of a point where you're like, wow, I'm spending a lot of money. That even if it's going well,
it's going to be 2 months before I get this back.
There's some mental things that we have to figure out sometimes too, as far as business wise, that it makes sense to spend sometimes instead of not spending.
And this is the thing, Jamie, that people don't realize is that sort of turnaround, that cash flow that can be the issue. I've had people, and I'm sure you have, that say, I've got £1,000 to spend or $1,000 to spend. What would you suggest I do it? And I say, well, if you're thinking about a Facebook ad, you spend that money on day one, you're not going to get it back until the very earliest day, 60 something or whatever it is. So actually, you've got to be thinking £10 a day for 60 days. That's already,
Yeah.
you're already almost there. You've spent all of that money you had.
Exactly. Exactly. And my husband is with my first book, I'm notorious for the story of had no money, and I spent some of our household budget money on Amazon ads and didn't tell him because it wasn't a ton. It was only $130, but it was like, oh, I hadn't told him. But at the end, I had made a lot more. And when I told him, he was like, well, that seems like a pretty good return on investment. And I was like, yeah, but we got to do this again next month, and I'm not getting paid until the next month. So we had to, for 2 months, just really buckle down so that I could continue to advertise and it was like that with each book for about the first 3 books, because that 2 months after that book comes out, you're advertising 2 books, but only getting money for 1 book. And it's just something I don't think people think about,
Yeah. And this is perfectly normal in business, isn't there? There's so many, you run a shop, you're paying rent on that shop from day one, not from the first day you sell the thing, from the first day that you actually get the keys to that place, you know? So this is something that business people have to deal with around the world all the time. So it's no different for us, I don't think.
What do you still need to figure out?
That's a good question. I am always figuring new things out, actually. And I'm trying something new this year, which I'll tell you about. It hasn't happened yet. And I don't know when you're putting this out. Maybe it will have. But this is something I've been thinking about for a while and really want to do. I've been pushing in the last year or so to try and have a sort of deeper connection with the people that read my books. And I'm not necessarily talking about the people that just read 1 or 2, but the people that read loads. And I've got a community WhatsApp group, and we talk in there, and I've got my newsletter and all these things that a lot of people do. But I'm running a trip, a reader meetup in Portugal. Ooh. I'm taking 6 readers on the Trail of the Knights Templar in Portugal. We're going to go to some castles and some palaces. We're going to go and drink some lovely wine and have some music one evening and walk around the setting of one of my books, because one of my books is set there. And it's been a total experiment, but we sold all the places, which I'm so excited to do. And we've got the hotel booked and the bus that's going to take us around and whatever. So this is the next step for me, I'm thinking, is how can I show up in the real world and make a real connection with people? Yeah.
I love that. I love that, because you're being real, you're being human, and you're connecting with readers. And I think that's what people crave right now. They want that real connection.
Right.
Exactly.
Plus, it's on brand because you're going to this place. Yeah, exactly.
And your readers will probably make friendships with each other, which will be great. It's so good. Such a good idea.
And we've already got a WhatsApp group of the people that are going, and they're already saying, we've got a countdown going in there, and people are already saying, I can't wait to see you here and meet you there and whatever. Oh. One lady today said, I'm going to bring this guy a pack of my favorite coffee, because we were talking about the coffee we were drinking this morning. And it's exactly that. It's sort of that community level that I'm really excited about. And hopefully this can be the start of something new that I can do on a regular basis, because my books are set all over the world, and I'd love to do one in lots of different places. So see how it goes, and touch wood, and fingers crossed it will go as I hope. And maybe this is a thing for the future, right?
Exactly. You'll have to come back and tell us how it went.
100%. Yeah, I will.
We'd love to know. What's the most unhelpful advice you've gotten?
I think, I'm not going to say specifically, but I think perhaps all advice can be unhelpful, and all advice can be helpful, right? Because it depends specifically on you, the person, and your position, and you talked about finance a minute ago, how much money you've got to spend on something, or what your family situation's like, and all of these things. And I think actually all of this advice is neither good nor bad, but I think perhaps we need to be so discerning as to the advice that we take and the advice that we don't. And ultimately, people, even good friends, if you don't take their advice because it doesn't work for you, they're not going to mind. They're not, there's no offense put here, is there? It's just you saying that's not the right thing for me at this time. But it goes back to what we were saying earlier about trying everything. You don't want to be TikTok, Substack, Instagram, all of these things, because you'd never do anything well. So yeah, perhaps it's not a specific thing, but more sort of a general point.
Well, if you were starting over today, would you do anything differently? If there is, what would it be?
It's a good question. So I wrote a series before my Eden Black series, which is the one that people know me for now. And I really enjoyed that series. I enjoyed writing it. It was great fun. It taught me a lot, but it didn't sell very well and continues to sell some books, but it sells off the basis of the other series and people know me and so on. I wonder whether if I'd done a bit more market research and a bit more getting to know the world of publishing and how Amazon works and how bookstores sell things and all of these things before writing, before putting pen to paper, before writing a 6-book series, that I just thought, oh, if I write one more book, maybe this will make things better. Maybe this will improve things. Maybe that would be better. But then I have to caveat that because I still am really proud of those books. I bet you guys have got the things that you could say.
Yeah. Sometimes you feel like you will that series into success or higher success. But sometimes it just doesn't happen right away.
Exactly right.
Along those lines, because yesterday I've been doing this TikTok, Let's Talk Book Publishing. So yesterday I talked about genres and genre expectations. And so what are the genre expectations for these travel adventure books the same as a thriller, or are there specific genre expectations that are different for this genre?
I think I just didn't really understand the idea of genre expectations that well, because they're sort of detective novels, but they're international. So the premise of the books is that when someone goes missing in a packers or whoever goes missing in a foreign country, no one knows where they've gone. My guys are the people who go and find them and track them down in the back alleys of Kathmandu or the Berlin underworld or wherever. So that was the sort of premise, but it hits so many genres that it probably misses them all in some spectacular alignment sort of way, because it's sort of amateur detective, it's international thriller, whatever, if that's even a genre, but it doesn't really. I think the point is that I've now spent a minute or two explaining to you what this story is. In my other series, I can say to you, it's about ancient relics, secret civilizations, curses, one woman to save the world. You've got an idea what that is, right? You've got it in your mind already. So for me, I think actually having that tight, having that sort of in line is the reason that series is successful, and the other one is not as successful as I wanted at the time.
Okay, that's really good. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about sense of place and about like writing it when you've visited somewhere, but how do you write a sense of place for somewhere you haven't been? Because like I write books set in 1923 and a lot of those places don't exist anymore. I can read about them in books, but I can't go visit them. And there's other people that they can't travel to certain places in the real world. So what would you recommend for that?
That's true. It is even more difficult with going back in time because, as you say, you physically can't go there. But there must be places. I'm just thinking of an example in London. They've just opened, I saw an advert for it, this jazz cafe, which is set in the sort of 40s, 50s sort of swing jazz vibe. And they've got the whole sort of the dress up and the vibe. Wow. They've really looked after the sort of ethos of it. And actually, if you were writing in that era, visiting a place like that and going and seeing it in that way would be quite beneficial. In terms of travel, what I would recommend is there's loads of good things. Online is always a good thing, of course. On YouTube, now this amazes me that people do it, and I've seen people do it. They will walk around a city centre just filming. Sometimes they have one of those cameras on the sticks. Have you seen those that people walk with? And they just walk around, and the videos are sometimes hours long, of just them doing loops around the city centre. And I thought when I saw this, why would you need that? But actually, for a writer setting a book there, that's really cool, isn't it? Because you get an idea of the way people flow between the spaces, and this square connects to this square, and the bus stop is there or whatever. Another one that I have found useful and I've spoken to people about is quite often there could be a community from that place in a town or a city that's close to you. So an example for that is in London, we've got a Chinatown, and you can walk down there, and for a couple of streets, and I know you've got them in the US as well, many of these places, for a couple of the streets, you could shut your eyes and think you're in China. You can hear the voice, you can smell the noodles cooking on the grill at the side, the crackle of the cooking there. You really get that impression of the place. And actually, if you can't go there, just to walk down that street and have some noodles and see what color the drinks are and what the sort of different flavors might be in the food, you could get enough to put a convincing sort of stamp on that story, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah. How do you brand adventure thrillers? Well, I guess my question is it different than you would brand a thriller? Do they all have the same look?
Yes, they do. They do have a similar look. They are similar to thrillers in a sense, but the key difference is there is an object, which we in the game call a MacGuffin. It's the thing. Yeah. It's the Ark of the Covenant. It's the Holy Grail. It's the whatever. Yeah. So for us, that is the really important thing that we have to decide what it is. Is it one that we've made up, right? Or is it a real one? Let's say real. Yeah. Is it a known one? So that's a really key element. And of course, off the back of that, you've got the place. So is it the pyramids of Egypt, or is it somewhere in Baalbek in Lebanon or the Middle East, or is it Spain or Portugal or France or whatever place it is. So that plays into it very much as well, because my books definitely have that sort of, we're in a different place each time. It's very focused on that new place.
Yeah. So your brand promise is, I'm going to take you to an exotic place and throw you in the middle of an adventure, and we're going to have to get out alive.
Exactly that. I call it adventure, right? That's the sort of key word in all of my marketing, is that you're coming on an adventure with me.
I love that.
And so far that's been fiction. And this year, in a couple of months' time, it will be also in the real world, which is very exciting. But that's the sort of continuation of that. The newsletter is all based around, I'm in this place. And even when I'm here in Nottingham, where I live in England, I talk about adventures past or adventures future, or what I'm working on, what fictional adventure I'm working on at that time.
So your newsletters are very much centered around travel as well, right? It sounds like.
Yeah, but not in the 10 things to do in Paris sort of travel. Yeah. More the sort of, have you seen this amazing graveyard that is there? Or did you know that there's this secret in the carvings of Notre Dame that was almost destroyed by the fire, or whatever, these sorts of things.
How many yen does it take to get you out of a Japanese prison?
Maybe. That would be good, wouldn't it?
Something like that.
Well, it sounds like you probably do a similar thing in your podcast, your Adventure Story podcast, examining different interesting things about travel and history and location. So tell us about that. How did you get started doing that? And is it mostly for readers?
Yes, it's for readers. So the idea is that it pulls back the curtain on the sort of books that I do. So I've had episodes on this. I've done 2 seasons now. We've just finished the 2nd season. This season, I had episodes on the truth behind the Knights Templar. Who really were the Templar Knights? Why I had Nick Harvey talking about why diving makes great adventure books. The idea of being trapped underwater and you're running out of air and these sorts of things. I had a guy talk about the Freemasons. So what's the truth behind the Freemasons, and does the idea of how they're represented in stories live up to the facts of the matter? In the 1st season, I talked about the crystal skulls of Indiana Jones fame and whether that's true, whether that's not. So you get the idea. It's here's a legend, here's a thing. How does it link to adventure stories? Why would it make a great adventure stories? What's the reality behind it? Sort of pulling those sort of together in a conversation or in a solo episode that I've written and recorded.
So are they all related to your books, or do you go outside and talk about different things besides your books?
Yeah, beside my books.
Okay.
I say they're all adventure related, and probably 2 or 3 a season are directly related to a book. So, for example, the Templars, I've written a book about Templars, so I link the 2 together. And actually, there will be some that will no doubt inspire future books, or I want to write a book about in the future, because that just that's the way ideas go, isn't it? But they're more broad than that, because I need to, there's so many ideas, right? There's more ideas than I would ever have time to write books for, which I'm sure you both are in that same sort of problem as well. It's a wonderful problem to have, of course.
It is. Yeah. So you say you do seasons. How many episodes in a season?
Just coincidentally, there was 22 episodes in both seasons. Wow. Yeah. I intended to do 20 and just had a couple more in there.
Just couldn't help yourself.
I know. And I did a few. I tend to do ones when books launch out of season as well. So I think each year I did 23 or 24 or something like this. But you'll know how much work a podcast is on a week by week basis. And I after a few of them, I was thinking, no, I need to put this down and have a break from it. So
you're thinking, am I a podcaster or am I an author of books? It's like, how's my time going to be allocated here?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Have they been good for discovery? Have readers found you through the podcast?
As always, it's hard to tell exactly. I think probably what they're really good at is taking a reader who knows me a little bit and letting them hear my voice, letting them into my travels, letting them hear my conversations, and letting them take me with them when they're walking or they're running and or they're in the car. And that, I think, is the wonderful thing about podcasts and audiobooks, but they're slightly different because we use narrators often and they're not as natural in the way that you speak. Right. There's something in podcast which is you form a relationship with that person, don't you? You listen to them time and time again and you get to know them. So I think they're probably less good for discovery at the moment because I'm still relatively new, but they're better for sort of people getting more invested in what I'm doing and what I'm about and what the things that I create.
Yeah. I love that. But that's amazing. That's just another way you're connecting with your readers. Readers are really wanting more in-person human connection.
I think author podcasts are like the ultimate long tail investment because they stick around and people can find them. And then when they find them, they can listen to all of them. And then they do have once they hear your voice, I think it's different than if they just read your books.
Right. Yes, I agree with that. And that's why I've stuck with it for these 2 seasons and why I think it's a worthwhile investment, even though, as you say, it's a super long tail. It's hard to say. And there's no direct link. I think we're spoiled again with the advertising in that we put up an ad and it tells us the click and then we can calculate the sale and whatever. And we just we just think that marketing should be like that. But it's not really, is it? In a lot of ways, there's not that direct cause and effect. There is a bit of
that quantitative.
Like you might, a friend of yours might say, oh, I want a new book to read, and you'll say, oh, Luke writes books about this, and then they go and buy. I won't know that this conversation led to that, but it did.
Right. And it was free.
Yes, exactly right. Yeah.
This has been great. I've learned a lot, and I think our listeners will find it very interesting. We always like to ask every guest, what is the best thing you've done to set yourself up for success?
Good question. I think not rushing at things, I think for me is quite an important thing. I made a decision about a couple of years ago, maybe last year, to slow down actual writing physical books, just the production of books. I was writing my main series. I was doing probably two a year. I think I did 3 in 1 year. Yeah. And then for the last 3 years, I've done 1 a year of this series. And actually, it's been really nice because it's allowed me to do other stuff, right? The podcast we've talked about, the travels that inspire the books. I've done some other series, one's a collaboration, some other things that I'm working on my own. And just allowing that sort of, you don't need to always be pushing to get those books out is a really good thing. And further on to that, I think there's a perception that the product is more valuable because it's taking longer to create. I believe that if I'm doing that, people are waiting for it. And then when it comes, they're really excited about it. So I think that's been a positive thing.
The anticipation.
Of course. Like there's people that binge the whole series on a Netflix thing that they love when it comes out
I did that
year
last
later.
night.
You know? Oh, yeah, we are.
I binged the whole show. Yeah.
And if it was already there, you would have, it wouldn't be so special, right? You wouldn't have looked forward to it.
I know. By the end, I was like, let's see. It was good because I kept watching it, but I was like, it was almost like a job by the end. Yeah.
Sense of obligation to finish it out. Yeah.
I know, right.
Tell everybody where they can find out more about you and your books.
Sure. So my website is Luke Richardson, author, LukeRichardsonAuthor.com. Everything is on there. Podcast, the Adventure Story podcast, you can find that wherever podcasts are. And books, just search my name wherever you prefer to get your books, and hopefully something should come up.
Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's wonderful. Cheers. Thank you.
So we will have those links at the show notes, and they will be at wishidknowforwriters.com. And if you want to support the podcast, you can go to that same link /support. And you can also find us on Substack. And don't forget, our sponsor this week is BookFunnel. We'll see everybody next week. Bye.
Bye.